Let's go to the Lewis Automotive Hotline, and Alyssa Orange is joining us. Where I last saw Alyssa was in Omaha last week. Our phones were broken, so we couldn't talk to her on a Tuesday, even though we had a night game with UCLA. And Alyssa, missed you last week. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I missed you guys too. I'm glad to see the phones are back up and running, and just sad to see Omaha go the way that it went. I know we didn't talk much about it last week, but I know everyone's talking about it. So
yeah, I mean it's still fresh in our minds, right? I mean it's a week ago from the last win, but it was a great season, and it's even been punctuated by Vahiva winning Golden Spikes, Coach DeBryan going into the College Baseball Hall of Fame. Does that blunt, do you think, a little bit of the, just the way that it ended?
Oh, well, it's nice to have some good news, right, after that all happened. And when Arkansas lost to LSU the way that they did, it could have easily just been the end of the season. But to have Vahiva win the Golden Spikes Award, which was really big for him, because Alex Lodis won the Dick Hauser Award, and you just didn't really know if Vahiva was going to win the Golden Spikes, and for him to do it, to be the third guy to do it at the University of Arkansas was big. And then, of course, Coach DeBryan getting that well-deserved honor of being a part of that 2025 class for the College Baseball Hall of Fame with that ceremony happening in February. Just really big things to be like, oh, yeah, just a good reminder, not only how good the team was this year, but how historically well they've performed under both Coach DeBryan and Coach Van Horn. And it's nice. It's a nice little positive tidbit, but I think if you were to ask any Razorbacks fan, they might have traded all of that for a national title.
Yeah, they might have. Maybe even the players and even Coach DeBryan would say the same thing. Looking back on this last athletic calendar, though, and it's all over. It was a successful year. Outside, I guess, of maybe volleyball, women's basketball. Teams made the postseason. Had some success when they got there. And we're kind of used to that now, though, too, aren't we? I mean, you're at a place where you feel like it's time for soccer to make it to that Final Four. It's time for softball to make it to Oklahoma City. You feel like you're at the place where men's basketball may make that first trip to the Final Four since Coach Richardson. We're all in that place where you still, like the national title for baseball, there's still another jump forward that you still believe is achievable for all of these programs.
Yeah, I think so. And that's like that next step mentality, right? And you talk about volleyball and women's basketball just having down years compared to the rest of the teams. But, football made a bowl game, right? Basketball made the postseason and made a run, which we didn't even know if they were going to make the postseason about midway through the SEC slate for men's basketball, and they were able to turn things around and do that. And then even gymnastics taking two athletes to the national championship meet. The next step for Jordan Weber and her program is qualifying as a team and taking Arkansas to compete for a team national title. Soccer, Colby Hale and his group continuing to try to play to go to Cary, North Carolina, and play in the Final Four there for soccer and win a national title. It's just that next step mentality, and it's like, what program is going to break that ceiling first? Is it going to be the men's basketball team? Is it going to be the soccer team? Is it going to be the softball or the baseball team, and they're all looking at track going, how you keep winning these national titles? Please tell us all your secrets, because track has done it time and time again. But I think overall sometimes people forget that when you're looking at football, basketball, and baseball only, that sometimes it feels like the full success isn't always there, and you have to take a step back and look and see exactly what you look at women's golf, and you had a women's golf team that was ranked number one for a very long time during the year. You had Miriam win a national title. I mean, it was just a really good year top to bottom, and sometimes you forget when you're only thinking about the big three.
Hey, Alyssa, what was your favorite moment from this baseball season? Now that we've had a couple days to digest it, was it Gage Wood's no-hitter there in Omaha? Was it Vahiva Aloy's just body of work, just making play after play? What was kind of your, when you think about this season, is it even Norman DeBryan getting into the, College Baseball Hall of Fame at the end of the year? What would kind of be your, takeaway favorite moment of this baseball season?
Oof. Yeah, that's a tough question. I had someone ask me that earlier this week, and I'm like, man, that's really hard to pinpoint exactly a moment. I think Gage in his game that he pitched was pretty incredible, and I think it was special. I had run into his parents the Saturday before in Omaha and talked to them, and just how excited they were for him, for this team, just the hard work that he's put in to rehab and get back from his injury, and to then see him go out and perform that way for his first time in Omaha was really special and cool. I wish I'd have seen it in person like Phil did, but watching it on TV was pretty cool too. I always just keep going back to going on the road and beating Vanderbilt and sweeping Vandy for the first time under Dave Van Horn's tenure. And I know that might not sound, sexy or thrilling or whatever, but I think it was that moment where it was just like, okay, like this team, I just remember the feeling of being like, wow, like that's what this team is made of. Okay. And then it kind of just snowballed from there. And so anytime I think back, it was just like, if I could pinpoint a moment, it might be that Vanderbilt series in Nashville.
The ones for me, now Gage's no-hitter for me is the best. That's the greatest thing I've ever called. So that takes the cake for this year and every other season as far as I'm concerned. But the moment where they ran into the crowd after the Super Regional all really stood out for me in terms of just a moment, not an on-field thing, but it was it was just something that was unexpected. And I do wonder the next time the team goes to the College World Series, if they play at home, if they'll do that, if that kind of becomes a bit of a tradition.
Yeah, I'm sure that the coaches would love that instead of the dog piles.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know. I wouldn't want a dog pile.
I think the fans would too.
I tell you, things that stood out for me was also.
Bottom of that.
Well, you mentioned about the Vanderbilt series, also the Ole Miss series. When you win road series, the way that they won those two series, ripping Ole Miss's heart out and then sweeping Vanderbilt. You go on the road and do that. Well, to me, that means you've really got something, especially with a program like Ole Miss. Guess who football's first SEC game is this year, and guess where it's taking place? It's in Oxford. It's against Ole Miss. There's going to be plenty of former Razorbacks on that team as well. And if you want a way that you can buy into the football season, a win over Alabama A&M is expected. A win over Arkansas State feels mandatory. You beat Ole Miss on the road. Yeah, I think everybody will buy in.
Yeah, I think so too. And what a way to start SEC play, because I think, for football rivalries, right? Like everyone is going to talk about Texas, and everyone is going to talk about A&M and the way that in Missouri, even though Arkansas fans feel the way they feel about that rivalry. This Arkansas Ole Miss matchup has turned in, specifically over the last 10 or so years, into a very contentious, rough rivalry, depending on, regardless if you're playing in Fayetteville, if you're playing in Oxford, and you look at the history with the 4th and 25 and them coming up here and beating you, and you going down there and beating them, and then, the one time they won on that last second field goal under Bielema, and then, the whole Lane Kiffin stuff, and Chris Paul went there, and then all of a sudden you had 3 other Razorbacks join them this postseason. It is going to be a very, just from a fan standpoint, I don't know exactly, how these teams look at it, but from a fan standpoint, I don't think that there's a game on the schedule that Arkansas fans might want more than that win at Ole Miss in Oxford.
Hey, Alyssa, I was thinking, Isaiah Joe, Jalen Williams just won a ring. Bobby Portis, Moses Moody, Jordan Walsh, other Razorbacks to win a ring. Gafford played in one last year, just signed an extension.
Yeah.
Arkansas basketball is in deep in the NBA right now.
It is, and it's really cool to see, specifically with these guys that we've covered over the last couple of years, like Bobby. And Bobby was here my first year, my first 2 years covering the Razorbacks, and so it's been really cool to see him and for him to still be an impactful player in the NBA. And Moses doing what he's doing and at Golden State and Daniel Gafford and those guys, just you saw the love that they had for Arkansas when they were here, and now they're going on and taking it into the NBA, which is really cool. I was talking to Jalen Williams' dad yesterday, and I just sent him a text and said, "Congratulations, like that's awesome." And he was like, "Yeah, we're in Oklahoma City, and things aren't always easy, but here I am, the father of an NBA champion, and it's all worth it, and I'm just so proud of him." And it's really cool, not only for those guys, but for their families, and Fort Smith, for Fort Smith to have two guys on the same team who are former Razorbacks who played together in high school, now winning an NBA title is really neat, but it's cool, and hopefully that continues. It's sometimes funny to look back and be like, maybe they would have loved to have a little bit more success when they were in college. But you've got guys who are really developed into solid players in the NBA, and that speaks to what they were able to accomplish and how they were able to grow at Arkansas and then at the next level. So it's been really neat.
BetOnline continues to be your number one source for all your sports betting action. And with baseball in full swing and football season right around the corner, BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting. From MLB, UFC to tennis and NFL futures, BetOnline remains your choice for sports wagering information. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. Head to the website today and take advantage of their industry-leading VIP program with level-up bonuses and weekly cash boosts. BetOnline. The game starts here.